Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show. Today, we are going to be reviewing,
the Dungeons & Lasers Woodhaven Stretch Goal Box 2 of 3. This box had a ton of minis in it.
Most of these were smaller than the other ones, and most of these were
Yeah.
people instead of the other one, which had a lot of terrain and boxes, stuff like that.
And
Which I do like boxes.
It also had a lot of duplicates, and I'll show you those because I didn't bother to assemble them because I needed to get onto box 3 for next week.
Yeah.
Which is more like the first box, but you'll have to wait to see that next week. But let's
Not too long.
Yeah, Thursday. I think we're gonna do it.
Most likely.
But as you can see from the back picture, there are a lot of miniatures, and you'll get to see them all in just a moment. We're gonna try to go through most of them. Not necessarily one at a time, but small groups of like-minded miniatures. So let's get on with it, starting with those ones right there. These are some of the character models. There's a female elf, sort of a paladin-y looking fellow.
With a weird hammer.
Right, a very large Thor-like hammer.
Which he went on great detail on why he doesn't like those things.
This is, I think, a female elven magic user. But they're really nice poses, really nice examples of character miniatures coming from Archon Studios. They are all multi-part kits, and things like swords and staves and what have you. Believe it or not, this is actually a two-part piece, the head of this staff. So there's some really tiny, fiddly little bits, and this is definitely something more for the advanced builder. Once they're built, though, paint them up as you like. Let's move on to the next chunk. How about the archers?
Okay. Just all of the archers?
Just that chunk right there. There's.
We'll do these three at the same time as well. We'll do those two first.
Oh, these are zombies.
Yes, but let's do these two.
You have a crossbowman, a female archer, and a male archer. Pretty nice figs. Again, very fiddly little pieces. Very, very breakable, so be very careful when you put these away, as well as when you clip them out. And then, like the little guy brought out, these are 3 different zombie miniatures with some pretty humorous poses. This guy's got an axe in his head. This guy's he's got one leg and using a spear as a crutch. This one's sort of trying to wield a morning star or flail. But, they throw a lot of humor into their poses, as you'll see in just a moment. Let's pick up. How about okay. These are goblins. One is a goblin with a sack of dynamite on his back. A goblin archer having to use his foot to help pull the bow back. And then just a larger goblinoid, maybe a leader of some sort. But there are duplicates of all 3 of these goblins, so you have some extra goblins to work with.
Yeah. Oh, so I think this is not...
What is with you?
He's eating the floor and I don't want him to do that.
Oh, okay. How about the kids?
Okay.
This is and a duck. I'll put the duck in the profile. There's a kid with a wooden sword, a goblin kid with a huge mug, a little child sweeping up a mess, and because of the base had all these broken bottles and spills on the floor. I thought that was perfect to give the kid with the broom. So he's actually cleaning up.
I think he was meant to go on that specific
right.
piece.
And then there's also a little kid here who's a fisherman, and again, the base actually had some fish and some water on the beach, so to speak, and he's got his little fishing pole. Really charming little figures.
Yeah. I do think most of these pieces did have a designated base, which they were supposed to go on.
Yeah, they just
except for the very generic bases.
They very rarely tell you which bases to use, and there are quite a few extra bases.
Sometimes they do, but not always.
How about we move on to
usually the bigger
thieves?
Yeah.
Here's a set of 2 thieves, and I really like.
Did you forget this one? No, that's a mine.
I really like this female thief. She's kind of like one of those New York, I forget what they're called, but the people who, in the old days, they would steal the things that they sold as they, pinned them to the inside of their jacket and would show you what they have for sale. You see that?
I did not see that.
It's very very clever. This one is just your average thief. But again, they make for great character miniatures or town encounters.
I mean, all of them could.
Mm-hmm. Pick something else.
Most
of them are just groups.
Generic people?
Yeah. No, not all.
Not
Just
all
like
of
5 at a time.
Alright.
I'll grab these while you picking out the next 5.
Yeah. I'll just.
Here you have a woman, a baker, a maid sweeping up, a falconer, a lumberjack, a minstrel or bard, and a wet nurse, I think they called it. It's just a woman with a baby trying to pacify the child with a rattle. All of these are very, very unique miniatures. I've never really seen townsfolk or character miniatures or anything like that of individual characters or NPCs or whatever you want to call them quite like these. They're very, very unique pieces and will make for very interesting encounters in your city or your village adventure type parts of your campaign, or if it's a one shot and it's just a town adventure, whatever you guys want to do with them. What do we got next?
Not these two.
Okay, these two are prisoners. One is handcuffed, or his hands are bound in the front, and this guy has literally got the old ball and chain. Great for when you have those prison escape adventures and you need miniatures to fill up your cells. Then we have, I think this was actually a named character, some sort of nobleman, and then a merchant holding out, his sword for sale type of deal. Again, very interesting poses and very, very cleverly designed ideas on the whole. What are you doing over there, buddy?
Just trying to find a group that I can put them in. These two guys.
Okay.
Don't ask them what they have in common. They both have beards.
Okay.
I can't find anything else.
This one is actually one of the muggers. There's 2 muggers, and this is one of them. And this is just your average dwarven character. I think he's a miner, just showing off. Yeah, he's leaning up against his pickaxe. Another great miniature with a non-combative pose, which I really like, because you can use them for more than one thing. When they're like mid-stride in combat, it kind of limits the use of them when you're trying to multi-purpose the miniatures.
A bag of money?
A bag of money. And there's quite a few of these throughout the stretch goal set, but it's just one of the bags of money. Or, it could be flour or grain or something like that. Just a really simple little piece of scatter terrain. Personally, I recommend gluing things like this to larger pieces of terrain, but, until you decide what to do, you've got a lot of different pieces like that.
Whatever these are?
These are knolls. And there are, in fact, duplicates of the knolls. And I don't have a lot of knoll figures, so this was actually kind of cool. I don't know what this thing is on his back, but it kind of reminds me of that thing Conan was wearing today, doesn't it?
Kind of. It's just a generic symbol, though.
Right. And he's got some sort of man catcher or what have you. But,
I guess that's what that is.
But, more knolls. Who can't use more knolls? Hyena man, whatever you want to call them.
There's a duck.
Oh, yeah.
A bat.
He's got an actual name, and I forget what it is. This is
Batman.
It pretty much is Batman of the Forest. And this is a pirate captain, but my favorite, of course, is the Howard the Duck. The Duck Man, McQuack or something like that. I forget his actual name, but
all these, which I can't find a way to group them together.
Another copy of the Undertaker. I think this is just another merchant. A snake charmer, kind of interesting. The rat catcher.
What's a rat catcher?
He's got a bag with rats in it, and he's holding a rat in his hand, and he's got the little rat catcher, man catcher type tool. This is just a guy with a duck. Ducks were a big theme this year. This is one of the other mugger figures. And of course, what town would be complete without the executioner and his most...
some.
Did I?
You missed.
That's the mugger. That's the other mugger.
Really?
Yep. The executioner?
Where's the other one then? This one?
No, he was actually over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a mugger.
I didn't know that.
I think we covered them all, except for the last 4.
No,
which are
this one and this one. Oh, no, that's the rat guy. You didn't cover this one, though.
the snake charmer.
This isn't snake. Also, there's... Nope.
Oh, okay. She's some sort of mystic. She's got a crystal ball in her hand. I thought it was the snake charmer.
That's a different one we covered last time.
Okay, you're right.
And no, this one, there's one other you didn't cover. Oh, this one.
The merchant.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
and then we have the 4 larger pieces from this box.
I'll start with whatever this thing is.
That's a genie.
Oh.
What are you doing?
No, nothing at all.
Don't poke me in the ear with that, please. He's gonna poke me in the ear.
I am poking the ear.
It's actually a very clever miniature, very reminiscent of the old Rawl Partha and Grenadier sculpts, which I think that was a kind of intentional deal. It's kind of hard to draw one of them without, or sculpt one of them without kind of hitting on those old tropes. And here you have kind of a humorous
thing.
It's
I don't
called.
want to think about it.
It's a
Please
sewer
finish
mermaid.
quickly.
It's a mermaid that lives in the sewers, and it's rather hideous. You could also use it as a sea hag, I suppose, or something like that.
Well, whatever it is, please finish quickly so we can move on to something
Then
actually
you
good.
have an iron golem. It's kind of in a weird pose.
But it is an actual iron golem that looks like could have been made at the time.
Yeah,
It's just like how we made those iron golems, which weren't that good, but they were better than the robots that everybody was selling.
Yeah.
I mean, we got them in response to actual robots being sold as iron golems. Not the same thing.
But it was a fun miniature to put together, and it's nicely sized. It's a little small for my taste. Personally, I think they should be about this tall.
Well, the ones we made weren't that tall.
Right.
It's about the same size as the
And
ones
then, to top it off, we have Mayor Bulbo. Bulbo is their sort of mascot, if you will, for Archon Studios. And he's basically just a big eyeball creature with some fake arms and legs, or maybe they're real arms and legs, but they're kind of like tentacle, arms and legs. But, another humorous little bit to throw in there. I'm betting the little guy's going to want to paint this one.
Yes, I will.
You don't have to.
No, I will.
If you want to, that's what's important. But there you have it. I didn't count how many pieces. There are also 2 kobold miniatures that I didn't get around to because they're so very tiny. I needed to find some tools to be able to help hold the pieces while I glue them. Basically tweezers and some other things, and I just didn't get them together. And there's duplicates of those. There's only 2 kobold poses and 2 extras, so it makes 4 more pieces. But that's what you would get in box 2 out of 3 of the Archon Studios stretch
It
goals.
was around 60. Oh, see, was he chewing on the wire?
No. And then this is the
bases that are
these were
left?
the extra. I also have 2 large bases extras, but I'm using them for something specific. But it's not a bad amount of extra miniature bases.
Yeah, and considering that you choose which base goes to which miniature, it's good.
And there's a couple bases that I'm not really
Though, of course,
fond
there
of
are some bases which are supposed to go
for
with
various
one.
reasons.
Like this is just a worse version of the one you ended up choosing, or not worse, but less.
Right. And I tried to keep it so that I had like more or less like one of each of the bases, so I could use them later and have a lot to choose from when it came to the extra miniature bases. I actually have a pretty good supply of miniature bases, but those are already, as you can see, sculpted with details, gratings, and sewer canal or gutters, and carpets and debris. There's one that even has some gold coins on the ground, so that
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I'll show you. It's really clever.
How come you didn't use some of this? You didn't use whatever this thing is.
Yeah, I did.
On which one?
What's the other thing?
That's not that same thing.
Where?
Not even close.
You told me I used that one. Oh no, right here.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
That seems like impossible thing.
right. But if you're a really
You probably
accomplished
give me
painter,
gold first.
or at least a blob on the coin and then paint around the edge.
Yes.
But there you have it for us for tonight. We will be back Monday or Tuesday with a very special video from the little guy because he's had some first time experiences that he wants to share with you guys.
Do I?
You don't remember? What do you do on Tuesday?
Yes, I do remember.
Okay. So we will see you guys then. Hope you guys have a great week. It looks like The weather is getting a little better, a little less hot for us, so we'll be able to do a few more things to make our schedule a little looser, a little easier to deal with, because this heat has been pretty atrocious this year. But anything else you want to say before we hit the road?
Not really, no.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah,
Let's say
not
goodnight, Gracie.
What?
Never
I
mind.
don't know who that is.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.